Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There we go. All right, let's get this thing cooking. So I recently had the pleasure of attending my son's high school graduation. And as you can imagine, particularly parents, it was a proud parenting moment. To watch him receive his diploma, to listen to him address his classmates. It was one of life's big moments that creates an opportunity to pause and reflect on our successes, our challenges, and the things we're looking forward to. But that is not what I'm going to talk to you about tonight, not those moments. What I'm going to talk to you about are those staggeringly ordinary moments that can dramatically change our lives simply by slowing down. Slowing down and committing to a deliberate process of creation that focuses our attention moment to moment, day to day, and year to year. Now, I know you're probably curious as to where the inspiration for this productivity breakthrough came from. You might be thinking of some of the great leadership gurus, Peter Drucker, or Stephen Covey, or perhaps even Tony Robbins. But you'd be wrong. It came from the great philosopher, Chuck Norris. Yeah, better than I thought. Texas Ranger. Now, in his book, The Secret Power Within, Norris shares a story about a sparring match he had with Bruce Lee. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the martial arts, Bruce Lee was arguably the quicker of the two men. But he was really, really frustrated in his inability to block any of Norris's kicks. He just couldn't understand it, just couldn't get it. And with that, Norris offered the following insights. You're going too fast, your timing is off, you need to slow it down. Slow down to go faster. Now, the irony of me talking to you about the importance of slowing down and using it as a mantra to guide my life couldn't been more apparent than when I got a speeding ticket on my way to a time management seminar. My father's in the front row, that I was teaching. And it gets worse. So in my haste, I asked the trooper if he can make it fast. Not a good idea. So as you can imagine, that did not end well. And usually our need for speed does not end well. Right? It actually slows us down. Right? This incessant need for speed is not sustainable, and it adversely affects the quality of our lives along the way. How many of us try to jam too many things into our calendar, schedule back-to-back-to-back meetings, skip meals, and cheat ourselves of much needed rest? And what does it get us? More stressed, less focused, less engaged, and ladies and gentlemen, ultimately, less productive. In fact, we are so enamored with working harder in this country that many Americans skip their full vacation. And we're working longer hours, and yet many European nations are kicking our butt in productivity as measured by gross domestic product. And it gets worse. We are so enamored with working harder, not smarter, that we proudly describe ourselves as being very, very busy. Our urgency-addicted society wears this busyness as a badge of honor. I mean, think about it. We admire people who are busy. We actually aspire to being busy. People will proudly go through their exhaustive to-do list without even taking a breath, failing to recognize that urgency rarely equals importance. And it's not enough that they're busy. They want you to be busy too. I mean, you heard people today in conversation. You're busy. You're busy, right? You actually feel guilty if you're not busy enough. You make something up. I know I do. I felt like a slug the other day. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the important part. Language is generative. What we say to ourselves influences how we think, it influences how we feel, it influences what we do. So my request for everybody in this room is to replace the B word with the F word. Good thing my mother's not here tonight. Let's replace busy with focused. Let's really get focused. So you might be asking yourself, how do we begin to interrupt this pattern of speed? Too fast, too often. It surrounds us. It seems that we're immersed in it. Remember that fish notice water last. Hello. So what do fish do? They notice water last because we're immersed in it, right? And so that is one of the challenges when we're going to replace busy with being focused. So how do we begin to slow ourselves down? So one of the things that I would suggest is that we start slowly. We start by running a few experiments. Now, I run a lot of experiments at home, and we run experiments to change it up to get a different result. And one of the things that I'm absolutely certain about is that someday my kids are going to be grateful they tutored under me. But today is not one of those days. Today is not one of those days. So there are 4 experiments that I would like to suggest that you consider to slow down, to go faster. Here's the first one. Everybody try it. Breathe slower. Everybody, deep diaphragmatic breath. Come on, try it. Let's go. Ready? Everybody, breathe slower. Deep and from the diaphragm. Pay attention to how professional athletes, performing artists, and marksmen prepare for success in their events by regulating their breath. So one experiment is to breathe slower. Experiment number 2 is to eat slower. Not only is this healthier, because we'll actually eat less, but it actually contributes to relationship building when we're dining with others. Now this blew me away. A couple of years ago, I heard this statistic, that the average American family spends less than 10 minutes per day breaking bread together. What an opportunity. So eat slower. Third, ease into your day. Ease into your day. Let's reverse this trend of hitting the ground running, immediately checking our watch, or better yet, checking our device, starting to worry about all the things that we have to take care of that day. That activates the sympathetic nervous system, and it puts us in a stressful state right off the bat. Let's learn a lesson from our pets who ease into the day. You've seen it, by stretching very slowly, and as far as I know, they don't check the clock and begin to worry about all the things they got to do all day, right? I mean, what do? Eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, right? And so as we take a lesson from our pets. Now, the last experiment, and you only do this one if you're brave enough. Drive slower. You can't do it. Yeah, I saw you earlier. Actually, experiment with driving the speed limit, right? Now, let me tell you, you will be alone. With the exception of a brand new driver and my 89-year-old father in the front row, raise your hand, right? You'll be alone. He's a safe driver, just a slow driver. And Be ready for all the unwanted attention you're going to receive from all those drivers that are in a hurry. Or as my daughter said to me, Daddy, how come all those people are holding their finger up and yelling at you? I said, Sophie, it's not because they think we're number one, kid. Not because they think we're number one. As we slow down to go faster, we create the space for grace. And this is the place where our full attention intersects with the present moment. We tap into the collective unconscious, the universal energy, where anything and everything is possible. In that space, we tap into intuition, those gentle nudges from the universe that tell us what to do and what not to do. Inspiration, those sources of purpose and meaning that surround us all of the time. And intention, we become deliberate creators by activating the law of intention, which says what we hold in mind tends to manifest. Ladies and gentlemen, what are you holding in mind? Rushing or creating? Now, we create this space for grace by committing to the following key practices. Weekly planning, mortgaging the time and space for the magic to happen. Daily meditation, training our attention so that we can notice and utilize intuition, inspiration, intention. Daily journaling, analyzing the patterns of our pace and adjusting accordingly. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, disconnecting from technology. Disconnecting from technology. I want to encourage you, I want to invite you, I want to challenge you to take some part of your day and make it screen-free. We are inundated with information overload. Our attention span in 2017 is less than 8 seconds. And ladies and gentlemen, that's less than a goldfish. That's less than a goldfish. So let me share how creating the space for grace resulted in my son, who you saw on the opening slide, resulted in him meeting former New York Yankee star Derek Jeter. We were headed down to Tampa for spring training, just for about a day and a half. And my son's intention, as you can imagine, any 8 or 10-year-old kid, he wanted to get Derek Jeter's autograph, right? And so I was on board with that. And so on this piece of paper that I carry in my wallet, I wrote down the following intentions to support his. I intend to be relaxed and go with the flow. I intend to arrive at my destination safely. I intend to have a smooth trip. I intend to enjoy my time with Rennie, and I added, and follow his lead. So let me share how it unfolded. We get to the ballpark at 8 a.m. for a 1:15 p.m. game. To say my son was excited would be a gross understatement. In fact, the parking lot attendant wasn't even ready to accept our money at that point. So we got something to eat. We looked around. Tampa complex isn't that big. We saw players stretching, playing catch, but unfortunately did not see or get Derek Jeter's autograph, nor did we get any significant autograph before the game. About 1 o'clock, we settle into our chairs. It is 88 degrees in Tampa in March. We're from Syracuse, so that was a little warm. By the end of the second inning, my son is completely out of gas. He wants to go home. And he reluctantly says, "Can we leave?" My initial reaction wasn't too positive, but in fact, he was even so concerned he called his mother, looking for her blessing. Tried to talk him into staying a little longer, trying really, really hard not to amortize the cost of our trip over just 2 innings. And then I remembered this piece of paper in my pocket. Go with the flow, follow his lead. So we left. On our way back to the airport, he asked if we can stop at the mall that we were at the night before to get a bite to eat. I said, sure. So we stop at the mall. As we're exiting the mall, somebody excitedly says, hey, there's Derek Jeter eating in the restaurant that we just passed by. I guess he left the game early as well. My son grabs the Sharpie out of my hand, rushes past the hostess, and meets his hero, the ultimate objective of our journey. Coincidence? Perhaps. Or a powerful example of deliberate creation made possible by slowing down to go faster. Thank you.